Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a couple of button bracelets. Now there's two styles of these, and I'm going to make one of each style so you can see what I mean by two styles. But let's turn down and we'll get to work on the first one. So I've got my beads I'm going to use right here. I think this is probably enough, but I'm not sure. Got some crimp tubes in here. And I've got, what did I do with that? Peridot wire. Now, normally I'd only cut about 9 to 10 inches, but because this has to back up on itself, we need about 12. And we may be able to get away with less than 12, but I want to have extra wire just in case. So right here about. So the first thing we want to do is take our crimp tube, go on here, then we have to go through the button shank. Now these are Tierracast buttons. You can't get them anymore because, well, Tierracast, of course, as most of us know, went out of business. Even though they have been bought up by another company, I don't know when they're going to start producing. So let's get these straight, and we'll push our crimp relatively close to the shank, not so close that it won't move around, but relatively close. So then we'll crimp that. There we go. Now I'm going to, because we're going to put a couple seed beads on now, and both wires won't go through the seed beads. We go and we get this up as far as we can to the crimp and cut that little extra bit off. So now what I need to do is we're going to put a couple of seed beads on, and it's going to only take 2 or 3 before it reaches the edge of our button. So let's just go with 2 first, see how we're doing. And that looks like it's right there. So then we're going to start beading. We're going to start with this washer spacer, and then this little bicone, washer spacer again, and then one of these smaller jades. So there we go. That's how it's going to look right there. Then we're going to put on one of these metal shamrocks. And I think we're going to put on one of these green crystals now. We're just going to go up the line until we want something a little different, and now, since I only have one of these, this is going to become our focal. So that's our centerpiece there. Now we'll see how we're doing right here. Now if we need more beads, we've got those few down there. We'll just have to rearrange our components a little bit till we get what we need. Now as we go, this finishes, we're going to make a loop over here of seed beads, and our button will go through it. Now this is not got enough. We're going to have to, too much. So that's probably even a little bit too much right there. So pull it up a little more. Okay, now that's the length it's going to be. So let's see what that looks like on our sizer. And we need quite a bit more. So let's decide where we want to make our changes at here. So we need at least, it looked like about 1 inch more space. So these beads will do it. I just have to decide where I want those beads to be at. So I'm thinking, because we don't want these really close to these, because they're pretty dark, I'm going to pull it off right here. We're going to put on this big one here. Then we'll put this tile of spacer on because we're not sure. Now see, this should be halfway point, so let's see about what that is. It's almost 4. That says it's getting almost too big, but probably not quite, because when you go around the corner of your arm, it's going to change the circumference of it. So we'll put this all on here and then we'll see how big it is again. Okay, now we're going to bring this around again, make our loop for our button to go through with our fingers. Hold that there. That's too big, so we want to pull it up some. Still bigger than we want it to be. Come on, you. Nothing like arguing. That's about right. So let's see what it is on the sizer now. Approximately. Okay, it's approximately 7, and when I take my finger out of here, it will give it the extra room it needs. So I think we're good here. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to put a crimp tube on. And then we're going to come back through here. Now I'm going to re-verify with the crimp tube on that I'm about the right spot. This doesn't look like it wants to go through the bicone a second time, so that's, I think that is probably too big still. So let's, yep, pull it up. There we go. Now I'm going to test it on the sizer with the crimp tube in there without my thumb in. Now this is going to change just a touch because we're going to line this wire with, that's about where we want it at 7. See. So what we're going to do now, since we've got it approximately where we want it, is we're going to take this button back out of here. We're going to take this crimp, this one side out of the crimp, and we're going to line this with seed beads. Now somebody once asked me if I worried about the seed beads breaking. Not really. If they do break, they're just going to have a little bit more slack because of not having a bead in that place, and though I'm using soft flex wire, so it's pretty, so it's not really much of an issue there. So now we're just going to put the seed beads onto our line until we get about approximately what we think we need for our loop. See how it's got to come around like this, and I think we don't know, maybe just about enough, maybe 1 or 2 more. I'll put 3 just to be on the safe side. Now what we want to do is we want to come back through this crimp and then the metal piece there, because that's where we're going to use for our extra wire to go through. So now we want to see if we're through here enough. Now we've got a gap there, so I had to fix that. And I think we still need a couple of more seed beads. Yeah, we do. See, it won't go through now. So we're going to have to pull it back out. Come on, baby, come out of the crimp. There we go. And we want to put like 2 or 3 more seed beads on. Now we'll go through again to test to see if we now have enough on there. So up and through, bring her up. And now it will go through. So now we want to test again to see how big we are. And if we're a little bigger than 7, well, actually we're just right at 7, so that's perfect. So now all we got to do, take our button back out of our loop, and we have to carefully get in here and crimp this bead here. And I just dropped my stuff on the floor for the second one, but that's all right. So we want to get in here and crimp that. And I say carefully because of course you don't want to crimp the beads and break one of them. Now, as you can see, I have a little gap there, but I think it's fine. I'm going to cut this extra wire off here, right here at the end of the washer. And oh, we have more space there than I thought. But do we when I have it wrapped around? So then through there, and voila. Now, this one does have a little more space here because, of course, you have to get in for that crimp to get in there. So I'm thinking I might take and get a crimp cover and cover that one, put it on over the top of that crimp to take up some of that space that's extra between the crimp and the wire. So get a crimp bead out. Or crimp cover, I should say. And I'm going to put this right over this crimp. Oop, not if I drop it on the floor. I'm not going to. See how much space I have here. So now if you wanted to, you could put, if you got a lot of extra space, you could put your crimp cover down here, not on the crimp, but beside it if you wanted to. And that would take up more space yet. But it doesn't matter. But I did have enough space for a bigger crimp. A bigger crimp cover, I should say. So I'm going to get one of my bigger ones. And hopefully I won't drop this one. We'll just go in here, go over the crimp, squish. Now I need to finish it up. It's not quite covered, finished. There we go. And there is our first button bracelet with the seed bead style of closure. And let's see what it ended up being after we finished it all off. It's right there between 7 and 7 1/4. So it's just about perfect. So there we go. One seed bead bracelet. Okay, to make number 2, we have 2 small differences. We've got these beads down here. This is number 1. We'll put it aside somewhat. And I've already put the wire, attached it to the shank, and put on the couple of seed beads and the spacer. Now we have to decide what beads we want on this one. And now, because I'm going to use some light colored leather as my closure piece, I am going to use some lighter colored beads. So I've got some lighter shamrocks and some lighter crystals. So we'll pour a couple of these out. And some of these. And I think we're mainly going to use, we are going to bring in some of these peridot, mainly because we want to match up to our seed beads somewhat. So we're going to pull those in, and then I'm going to use these crystals, and I have another color of crystal here. I do have a few more of these little bicones. We're going to use those on the ends again like we did this time. But then we have to decide what we're going to use for spacers. I've got some of these out still. from our original. But I also have, if I choose to use them, we still have some more of these, which are good spacer. But I also have here in this pile some hearts and two other style of knot. Now, I like these knots. I always have. They're some of my favorites. I also have, if I wanted to do it as a focal, a bigger style of these. So I would only get one of those out to do that. So we can design this using this as our focal piece. Now you got to remember, we're going to have leather to close it. We have a ring, and I've got this also. I'm going to hook onto here, and our wire will hook onto it. So this is going to add about, about 2 inches. Let's see. Yeah, probably about 2 inches. So we only need about 5 inches of beads. And we're going to put this one in the middle. These two will go down the sides. And I think we'll put maybe these in as other pieces. So let's just push some of this aside for right now, though we may want some of these washer spacers as we go along. Or not, we could just use the shamrocks and the other knots there. So let's start by using a washer spacer here. And then I'm going to put one of these crystals, this guy, one of the darker crystals, I think. No, I don't like that. Maybe one of these light green shamrocks. Okay. I'm not going to put that washer on because I'm going to attach it, if I have enough beads on, right here. Though since this won't go through this bicone a second time, I may want to put something different right there. But let's see, I need to get a couple of crimps out, a crimp out. Only one. So what we'll do is we'll put the crimp on, then this little connector, and then we'll go back through the crimp So it sits sort of like that. Then we're going to hook this onto here. In fact, let's just do that right now. I think we can do that with a medium one, though possibly a tinky top would be big enough. I have one open in here. Yep, there it is right there. So we'll attach, oops, this connector here to our ring. Now, let's put it on this side, make it easier. Come on. There we go. So this is going to be like so at the end. And then our button will go over a piece of leather and attach here. I think it's not big enough though. It doesn't look quite large enough, because the button is going to be right there. So let's see how big it will be. So if we were to pull this around here, no, see, it's not large enough, because the leather should, this button should be really right over there by the ring. So we need another inch, about half an inch or so. So now we have to decide what we want to switch out here to get that extra inch. And I am thinking to put you over here, that I may take these little bicones off and put one of these green beads down there, which would take the whole thing off, but that's all right. And instead of that, like I say, let's pull these off, take the little bicones out entirely, add one of these green beads. We've got our this style of spacer. Then I'm going to put one of these big dark green beads here. Then we'll get another washer spacer. I may need to get another one out, but let's see. Yeah, that's all right down there. It works. Unless I wanted to get one of these bicones out. I'm not sure I care for this green. This is an emerald green, but I don't really care for it with these other beads. So I think I'm going to get a couple of these, more of these bicones out that I used in the other. Put these away because I don't like them. And go with the bicone because I think that's going to give more of a contrasty color that I'm going to like more. Yeah, see, I like that much better. So we'll just go up the line like we did before until we get to that place on the other side where we needed to switch out and add this bead and this bead down here. Bing. You're an extra. So let's just go up the line here. And I believe, going to have to get another washer spacer out because it doesn't look like I have any over there in the pile anymore. As I say, we're just restringing this, and then we'll test it out again. See if it's going to fit in here better. Oop. Right here. And we need the 1 washer spacer. And then this bicone, or not bicone, it's a fire polish. So now we're at this point. Now we will put this through here again, through here, and through our bead. Now it will go through the bead, so no problem there. And we'll pull her up. So that's what she's looking like so far. Now we have to get our cone out again and see what we're looking like at now. Now, come on, don't slide around on me there, baby. We are actually maybe even a little bit too much, but I think we can live with that. So now it's time to get all our beads down into place and crimp this baby up. Want to leave us a little space here so that we have movement. Squish, 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 squish. Now, I will tell you, you don't need this piece right here that I've put in the middle here. I've just added that as a little extra decoration. Now, once you've got that done, you cut this off. Bing. There we go. Now, we don't need these seed beads anymore. What we need to do now is to cut a piece of leather and make our little leather component. So that's just, here's my leather. It is a lighter color, but it matches these lighter beads. So we're gonna get this off. This is actually suede lace, and I think it might even be imitation because it's feels like it is. We want about 6 inches at least because we have to lark's head it and then tie a knot. So just gonna get about that much and cut it off, and hopefully I cut plenty. So we want to fold this in half. Oh, that has a weird wonky spot right there. There we go. Hold it in half, go through and bring our 2 bits through and over, bring it down. Now, do I have that the right direction? I'm not sure I do. Oh, I do. That's good. So then the next step is to take and knot these in an overhand knot. And I may not have cut enough because we want to be able to knot this and leave it having enough space for our button. And I'm always afraid of doing that, and I think I might have. Come on, why are you acting so much longer than your buddy over here? Okay. Way down there. Oh, I see why you're acting so weird. You're not anywhere near where you're supposed to. Okay, now your leather's going to stretch out to a degree over time, But you want your button to fit through your leather here, like so. And as you can see, that does add some more, so our bracelet's probably going to be about 7.5 inches rather than 7. But this one can be tightened a little bit more because the button still is going on. So I think we're about perfect right there now. So there we go. Now if you want, you can touch this knot with a little bit of glue. It doesn't really need to have it, but you can if you want to. I would be a little bit leery of it because this is a really pretty colored lace, suede lace, and I wouldn't want to discolor the leather. So let's see how long this ended up being. I think it's probably going to be about 7.25 to 7.5, to be truthful with you. Oh, it's not. Well, it is 7.25, but. And there is our bracelet. Now this is, oh, there we go. It wants to turn a little sideways, but that's all right. So anyway, you can be done here, or I have some teeny tiny little shamrock charms that I'm thinking I will get a jump ring. A Tinky Tot's probably good enough for that one. This wants to flip the other way. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Tinky Tot and I'm going to hook this little guy right here to make us a dangle. So we'll just open up this little jump ring. Go over our wire here, our ring, and then hook up put our little shamrock on our jump ring. Well, did I open you big enough? I may not have. Or it may just be that I need to put the little shamrock on first, because sometimes they take each other's space. There we go. And there's a tiny little dangle on there now. So, and there is our second button bracelet using the leather style of ring and leather style of closure. This little guy wants to be difficult. There. Why are you doing that? Whatever. So you should be going like this. I may have to switch this guy's jump ring because he wants to do a twist here. But there we go. I definitely am going to have to change this up some because he's being problematic right here. It wants to twist the wrong way here, and I don't care for that. So let's see what we need to do with you. You need to hook just like so. So get your jump ring back over here again. Okay, he's not open enough. He doesn't want to go on. Let's open it a bit more. Oop, ouch. Oh, I put it on the wrong one. Okay, I have to take it back off and fix that. But I think we may get a new jump ring. This one's getting a little mangled. Okay, now that we've got this little guy back straightened the way it should be, this is the one, the bracelet with the ring and the button. This little pretty you don't need to put on here. You could have just hooked straight to the ring. I just put that on there because I think it's pretty. So there's the type with the ring and the leather piece. And this one is the button and the beaded loop for its bracelet, for its closure. So there we go. There's our two bracelets. So there we go. I hope you liked making these bracelets with me. I know they can be a little intense there when you get to the end. Beading them is no problem. It's when you get to the end to finish it, you got to be careful so that you can get the button through, number one, your loop, and number two, that you have enough wire to do your loop here, and finally to get this loop made at the end there. So that is the first one with the beaded closure, beaded loop closure. As you can see, there's the closure, there's our button, just goes over the top, or goes through, the button goes through the beaded section here to close it. So there is our button bracelet number one with the beaded loop closure. And then button bracelet number two, it's got the ring and leather closure, and the leather is where the button has to go through. It goes through our piece of leather here. Now, as I said, you could put some glue on here, but I wouldn't on the suede lace. Goes through the loop here. If you were using regular leather, the round leather, it would be definitely you could put some glue on there. I don't, like I say, because this is suede leather and the suede lace leather, and I don't want to put a mar on it by putting glue on it. So there is it. As I say, this little pretty that I put here, you don't have to. You could have just gone straight to the ring with your soft flex and your beaded section. I just put that in there because I thought it was pretty. So there is our button bracelet using the ring and leather closure. So there's our two bracelets, both kind of button bracelets that you can make. I hope you enjoyed making them with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.